I'm always wondering what it would be like to die. She asked me why.
Hello everyone and welcome to this video. Now today I'm going to be doing an album review. Today I'm going to be looking at this album. It's the latest one by Paolo Nutini, Last Night in The Bittersweet. So yeah, so I'll just be doing my usual thing in this video, giving a bit of background information about the album, then showing you my vinyl copy of it here, and then looking at each of the album songs in detail. So I must say I haven't really talked about Paolo Nutini at all, on my channel really. I guess a bit of background first, just to kind of how I kind of discovered him, got into him a little bit. Initially it was through my dad, when he bought the albums These Streets and Sunny Side Up when those came out back in the late 2000s, 2007, 2008 sort of time. And I have memories of listening to those albums. However, I don't believe he ever got Caustic Love, which was this one from 2014. That album kind of just sort of, I think, passed him by a little bit. Then Nutini then just kind of went into hiding for quite a few years. Eventually coming back with this album. Yeah, I think during that period, many people just assumed that he kind of quit the music business, but by all accounts, I think he was just kind of spending some time in his hometown of Paisley, just outside of Glasgow. And then kind of without much fanfare, he then released two songs from this album, two new singles, Through the Echoes and Lose It. And I liked both. When they came out, I thought that they were good songs. But then it was when the album was released, I thought, okay, I'll give it a shot. I'll give it a listen. And as you'll probably tell by the end of this review, I just fell in love with this album, and it really reignited my interest in him as an artist, and I had to go out, buy the album, and now I feel compelled to do a review of it. So as I said, it only came out last Friday there, so the critical reception to it so far has been pretty good, although I have seen some mixed reviews as well. I think many people most reviews kind of say it is quite a variety of styles on it, and just the sheer quality of the songs is really good. However, I have seen quite a few reviews saying that it's too long, 16 tracks, so this is a proper kind of hefty double album, clocks in at an hour and 10 minutes, so it's not kind of something you could just sort of listen to and then kind of for half an hour and then well, that's it, done kind of thing, you do have to invest, I guess, a little bit of time with this album, but I certainly have, and I think it is a really, really, really strong album. Now, the chart positions were just announced just a few minutes before I started filming this today, and yes, it got to number one here, in the UK charts. Now his third number one album here, and yes, a fantastic achievement there. Okay, so I'll now show you my vinyl copy here of the album. So this is a white marble version, which I picked up at a record shop in Edinburgh there. So I really like the cover of it. I think it's a great cover. It is this kind of, it is slightly like a grainy photograph. There is a slight sort of blurriness to it, but I think it really works really well. There's the back of it there, just with the track listing, and I'll show you the records and whatnot. So yeah, as I said, it's a proper double album, this. So the records, this marble version looks like this here, which is really nice. Won't show the other record, that's just the same colour, the same kind of marble effect on the other one. But you get this really nice inserts with it as well, which has got, it's got the track list, it's got the musical credits, and then it's also got all the lyrics on the inside of it here as well, which is really nice. So yeah, packaging is great as well with this. Okay, so I'll now go over each of the album songs. So as I said, there's 16 tracks in total, so hopefully I'll try not to make this video too long, but yeah, I will just look at each song individually, which will give us an overall score for the album. First track up is called Afterneath. Now this is the most experimental song on the album without a doubt, and I think it's quite a ballsy move to kick off your comeback album with this, an album which I think a lot of people have been anticipating. He's got a lot of hardcore fans, but also a lot of kind of casual sort of fans as well, people who are maybe like slightly more, I guess, mainstream music tastes like a little bit. So I think it's quite a ballsy move like to kick off like your kind of big comeback album with a track like this, which is a kind of free-flowing jam, like in like some ways. You've also got these kind of different sound effects going on, and some spoken word interludes like on it. And like then like also like some samples from a Quentin Tarantino film, like because he's got a writing credit like on this track as well. So it is a song I can see being quite like divisive. Like in some ways, I think some people might sort of turn this on and think, what's this? You know, like 8 years and this is all he can come up with. But and yeah, there's a danger that it could kind of put people off the rest of the album. But I think it is a good track though. It's certainly not my favourite like on the album, but I think it is a interesting opener, and like it's a track which I think is like yeah, potential to grow on me. But like as it is, we'll get a 7 out of 10.
Like a fish from above, I'm singing
But then following that, we get Radio. Now, this is a song, yeah, like when I was listening to this for the first time, this song just blew me away. You know, it is a beautiful song, this. Again, it builds really well, but really, like, organically, though. It kind of sort of starts, yeah, very calmly, like, but then, like, you then get this gorgeous chorus line, you know, where it's singing, like, like the bit like where it goes like I want love and that. It's just it's a simple lyric, yeah, but it's delivered absolutely masterfully, like this song here. And I think it is a track which he has had kicking about with like for a good while. Like at some of like his last concerts he did back in 2017, like he performed this song. So it's a track which he has had, like yeah, like I said, by sitting around like for quite a while. But I'm so glad that he's like finally released it, because I think it's a brilliant track, and like yeah, it is one of my favourites on the album.
through the echoes.
Following that, we get the single and the first lead-off track, Through the Echoes. Now, this was like a great choice for a single, I think, because I think it is one of the more safer songs on the album, perhaps. You know, it's very much is kind of his kind of traditional sort of style, like in the sense it's really it's quite kind of country, sort of folky kind of guitar, like on it, really just kind of him again like this like guitar. But then you've got also kind of like this kind of just a very laid back sort of feel. Reminds me a bit of like Neil Young sort of thing I could imagine like on like his Harvest album. But yeah, like I mean, it didn't particularly blow me away like when it came out like as a single. I liked the song, but it wasn't one like I was thinking, wow, this is going to be one of the best albums like of the year. But yeah, I think it really fits like on the album though, and yeah, I think it just has all kind of Paolo Nutini's kind of trademark that sort of like component parts to it. So I think it's a really good track, and for me, yeah, would get a 9 out of 10.
Into your acid eyes.
Next track up is Acid Eyes. Now this is a bit of a slow burner, this one here. It's a bit like Radio, this one again. It really is quite calm and sort of slow, but it builds up sort of like throughout like the song, and again it kind of then sort of settles into like a really good kind of solid groove. You've got a really catchy chorus like that, I never told you I loved you, like into your acid eyes bit. Again, just really flows really well. I do like the lyrics on this, so kind of like the verse lyrics, I guess, about kind of not about sort of like regretting like not taking your chances like with someone, and like kind of now it's too late. He sings with it, and now you've gone away to Mexico. My mind is on. Like she's in my car while you're asking him to dance. I should have asked. I never asked. And again, just delivered really well. Like he knows how to sing a song basically, you know, and like put in like a really great like emotive and vocal performance. That's kind of half like the thing like with Paolo Nutini, you know, like yeah, you've got like the lyrics which are good, but it's just his delivery of them which is what makes him quite unique, like for me. And again, like I said, the track builds up really gradually throughout, and like it's almost like unnoticeable, you know, like it's not like where it goes from kind of like a quiet intro to then suddenly you've got all these instruments. It's kind of like very organically just builds up, and I think it is really great. So for me, Acid Eyes will get a 9 out of 10 there.
And tonight I need
Next track up is called Stranded Words, and this one is it's labelled like an interlude, this one, but it's about 2 minutes, I think, this one, so it is a song, definitely, but I think it's a really lovely track, this. It's very calm, and it's kind of added on, it's kind of the kind of second part, like of Acid Eyes kind of thing, you know, it's kind of got Nutini sort of doing like a spoken word passage, and it's very kind of thick, kind of paisley accent, but then you've got these kind of lot of atmospheric sort of synths going on, giving it very kind of, cinematic like sort of feel. So I really do like this song. Again, maybe not a track I would play in isolation, like off the album, just because it is a kind of spoken word kind of piece. But when it's on the album, it's really good. So for me, that one would get an 8 out of 10.
Lose it for a little while, lose it for a little.
Next track up is Lose It. Now this was the other lead single from the album, released I believe the same day as Through the Echoes, and this is a more kind of rocking song. You kind of got a kind of post-punk kind of feel to it, you know, very much kind of this sort of like kind of very kind of straight and kind of like mechanical kind of like guitar part like going on. Well, I think lyrically it perhaps touches on some kind of personal difficulties, perhaps again like his life. He sort of says like, I could not seem to find a way out of my worried mind. Feeling I'd been left behind was bringing me down. And yeah, like I said, I wasn't too into this like when it was the single. I do think it's still a bit too long, this one. It kind of goes on a bit, and it's really, I guess, a bit repetitive, like that kind of lose it for a little while, that chorus bit. It has grown on me a little bit though, and I would give it an 8 out of 10, but it's certainly for me not one of my favourites like on the album.
Petrified in love, petrified.
Next up is Petrified in Love. Now this is a great song. This is one of my favourites on the album. It's a really upbeat, really catchy song from its like opening guitar riff, and then it's a great kind of killer sing-along chorus. It reminds me a lot of kind of 70s kind of power pop, this one. So I'm thinking like things like The Cars or like Nick Lowe or even like Elvis Costello, like sort of thing. I think it's really in my musical sweet spot basically. And yeah, I really love the track. And I think it's one of my favourite songs of his, so that would get a 10 out of 10.
It feels like you're everywhere.
Next up is called Everywhere. Now this is a track which is another one of these songs which really builds up, I think. It begins very quiet with just the kind of like acoustic guitar and like Nutini's vocal, and it's kind of gorgeous like vocal melody, and then kind of like halfway through the song you get this awesome guitar solo, and the track just turns into like a true epic. It's a very passionate lyrical delivery puts on, by the time you get into that kind of build up, he's really putting in like a great vocal performance. So for me, this one would also get a 10 out of 10.
'Cause I had a dream last night.
Next up is called Abigail, and this one's a lovely little ballad. It's a nice acoustic song, this here. The kind of, you've got some really lovely lyrics on it. The narrator off the song is kind of dreaming of like a life with like his wife and family and that. He sings he's kind of describing this, and he sings like, Lord, I want to be happy before I get old. A great line. I think it's really delivered really well. Again, not sure if it's kind of autobiographical. I don't think there's a lot known about Nutini's kind of personal life, if he has a family. I don't think he does. So perhaps this is a track where he is actually sort of really wishing for this, for himself. So I think it is a lovely song, this, and for me we get a 9 out of 10. Really nice track, that one.
We are all just children of the stars.
Next up is Children of the Stars. Now this is a slightly more upbeat track, this. You've got these really good sort of jangly guitars on this. Reminds me quite a bit of Fleetwood Mac, this one. Like I could imagine Lindsey Buckingham doing this one and on say like the 75 album, or even Rumours, it's got that kind of 70s kind of like American rock feel to it. But again, you've got this great backing vocals on it, just great all-round production with this song and the whole album in general, but this song again particular. And I think kind of lyrically it's kind of a little bit cryptic, but I think it's perhaps just sort of about how kind of deep down all sort of human beings, they are kind of the same. We've got the same kind of emotions and kind of feelings and whatnot. But no, I really like it. So for me, Children of the Stars will get a 10 out of 10.
I'm a helpless romantic I could just
Okay, next track up is called Heart Filled Up. Now, this for me is one of my least favourites on the album. I would still give it a 7 out of 10 because I do, again, like the song when it's on the album, but I do think it is, one of the slightly lesser ones on the album. It kind of starts off quite a simple acoustic track, but then kind of throughout the song, like as it goes on, you get a lot of sound effects and a lot of kind of these tape loops going on, which I think slightly overpower the track, and it kind of then becomes a bit too much by like the end. You get what he's going for, kind of this kind of trippy psychedelic sort of vibe to it, but I think it's maybe a little bit too much towards the end, but again, not anything I'd play like in isolation, but yeah, quite interesting on the album.
are you feeling so?
Next track up is called Shine a Light. Now this is certainly my favourite of the singles what came out, because he had Through the Echoes and Lose It came out the same day, and then I think this was the third single, and this is the one which blew me away. This is the one which I thought, right, I'm going to have to listen to this the day it comes out and just to sort of see what it's like if this is the quality like we're getting. For me, it just blew me away. I think it's a really anthemic song, this. I think he's going for a different sound on this, to what he's ever really done before. It's a lot more kind of stadium rock, this one, almost kind of U2 kind of vibe to it, and I could easily see this song becoming like a live favourite. But again, just builds up really well. You've got really great production on it, and I think it's a wonderful song there. So Shine a Light would get a 10 out of 10.
Desperation is the things we miss. It's the after.
Next up is called Desperation. This opens up the final side of the album, and this is another upbeat rocker, this one here. Again, another one I could imagine becoming a live favourite. I get a kind of throwback sound on this one to his kind of Jenny Don't Be Hasty. That was, I think, his first single, but that kind of slightly more guitar heavy sort of sound is what he's going for with this track, and I think it really works, really suits him. I think I have read quite a few reviews though, kind of what slag off this song, say it should have been like a B-side or just like a bonus track or something, but I say rubbish. I think this is, again, for me, one of the best songs on the album. I'm not sure if it is just because it is one of the more upbeat ones, but I know I really enjoy it. So Desperation for me would get a 10 out of 10.
Julian.
Next up is called Julian. Now this one is a piano ballad, this one here, and it's very pleasant, this song here, but for me it perhaps doesn't really stand out too much on the album, but it is a song which is growing on me though, and when I was preparing this review, this is a song which I was gonna kind of dismiss a little bit, but certainly now I can sort of I just like the melody of it is kind of starting to embed itself, and it is becoming a lot more memorable. So I think again, perhaps with a lot of these songs, you do need to give them a bit of time, especially these kind of slower ones to really grow on you. But no, a really nice, pleasant piano ballad, this one here, and so for me we get an 8 out of 10.
You cannot find peace of mind.
Next up is called Take Me, Take Mine. Now this for me is possibly again one of the weaker ones on the album, although I have seen a lot of reviews really praising this song though, but I think perhaps for me it is maybe just its placement on the album. I think kind of coming after Julian, which is a very slow ballad, to get another slow ballad after that is a little bit I think slightly kind of weaker sequencing choice there, but and again, this one does go on quite a bit. It's about 7 minutes, this one, so I think it is a bit too long, and it kind of the album by this point a little bit. I am having a bit of sympathy with some of the reviews which say it is a bit too long, because this one you kind of, I guess, a little bit checking your watch a little bit, but maybe I just need time for it to grow on me, or maybe I need to just play it on its own sort of thing, taken out of context off the album, then it might make a bit more off an impression. But for me, at the minute, Take Me, Take Mine would get a 7 out of 10.
I am your writer who pleads indecision. Your lover, your...
And the final track is called Writer. Now this one is a really lovely song, and initially I was maybe only going to give it an 8 or a 9, but I have to give it a 10. I think I was just listening to it again, and it's a really beautiful song, and I think it's the perfect way to end the album. It's a very simple track. It is just Paolo on a acoustic guitar, but the lyrics on this are so good. It is basically like a poem, you've not got a kind of traditional verse, chorus, verse structure to this. It's just a beautiful love song, really, and I love his vocal delivery delivery on it. He's letting his accent come through, and I think all the better, you know. He's really distinctive kind of voice like on this, and yeah, like I love some of like the lyrics on there. He sort of saying like and then I'll be a memory of your dodgy decisions, your ex, your old sex, your old weathered tradition, and it kind of, yeah, it's just constructed really well. And then there's a kind of lovely line where he sings on it like, you are the most beautiful part of my life. Just the way his voice goes up for that, I was just like, yeah, I have to give this song a 10 out of 10. It is really, really great, and yeah, I think a fantastic way to close off the album. Okay, so overall this album would score 89%, so that is a terrific score for this album. It was, yeah, like as I've said, like in like this review, one for me which really caught me by surprise, because as I said, like I like Paolo Nutini, but I would never have ranked him among my favourite artists at all. But certainly I think now, you know, I think I'm going to have to go back and kind of, yeah, like re-listen to, like re-evaluate some of like those older albums. Now, I guess like most double albums, there is perhaps an argument that there's a couple too many tracks on here, but there's no obvious ones like which I would cut like to, like, be honest with you. Even like the ones like which I was given, say, a 7 out of 10 to, like, they all, I guess, deserve a place like on the album, because they are all good songs. There's no bad or terrible tracks on here, which is a great record there, like for the double album. I think what holds this together so well is the production, which is really good. It really doesn't sound, I think this is an album which is going to age really well. It doesn't really sound like an album of today, you know. It sounds like it could have come out, say, 10 or even 20 years ago. But I think he's also got a really strong band like on this album, like as well. I'm not sure like if these are just new guys like he's got in for this album, or if they perhaps played on his last album. But you've got like Gavin Fitzjohn, who plays most of the guitar parts and co-wrote 4 of the tracks. Bassist Tom Herbert co-wrote 1 of the songs, and drummer John Blease is also playing, like they are like the core band throughout the album. And again, it's really quite interesting, like when I read that, you know, considering like how versatile this album is, considering that it is the same band throughout. I think that's what gives it its sense of like cohesion. And I think, yeah, compared to like some of like his other albums, kind of like from memory, like Sunny Side Up kind of had a kind of sort of slightly kind of Americana sort of feel to it, a little bit of reggae in there, but a little bit of kind of jazz and like sort of thing. So quite a kind of sort of worldview. This album, it seems a bit more indie sounding to it, a little bit more kind of like rocky, sort of like indie rock sort of vibe to it, which perhaps maybe why it's kind of caught my imagination, because that's kind of my sort of musical like style, like what like I really like enjoy, and yeah, said perhaps is the reason why I kind of fell in love with this album. But yeah, despite it being, like as I said, quite eclectic like in styles, like no 2 songs like on this album really sound the same. It doesn't feel like unfocused like anything like at like any point. And again, it's quite remarkable like how relevant he still sounds, like, you know, despite it kind of, I guess it would have been easy to kind of fade it out and become a kind of 2000s nostalgia artist, you know, like attempting like a comeback album. He's not kind of done that, you know, like he's kind of followed like his instincts like as an artist, and I think it's really paid off. So yeah, for me, a great record here, Paolo Nutini's Last Night in the Bittersweet. So I hope you have enjoyed this review, and I will see you all next time for the next one. Goodbye.